It's Tatum, spins, fires, butter.
Here he is going at it. Siakam backing in. That's the feel of the game.
Pascal Siakam and Jason Tatum are two of the best forwards the league has to offer right now. These are two guys who can lead their teams in multiple categories and dominate on both ends of the floor when called upon. So today, we're going to dive a little deeper into the debate of which player is better than the other. The first thing we got to talk about between these two players is scoring. We'll start off with the Toronto Raptors' Pascal Siakam. Siakam averages 15.9 points throughout the course of his 409-game career. However, much of that relatively low average is to blame for his slow start in the NBA. He averaged less than 10 points in each of his first 2 years in the league. However, he's averaged over 20 a night in the past 4 years. His best season is happening right now as he averages 24.8 points per game for the Raptors as their true leading player. Now, when it comes to his career shooting numbers, he averages 48.9% from the field, 32.9% from behind the arc, and 77.1% from the charity stripe. So let's flip over to the Boston Celtics star forward Jason Tatum now. Tatum averages 21.2 points over the course of his 375-game career. It was shocking to me as well that Tatum has played a good chunk less than Siakam throughout their careers. Regardless, Tatum has never averaged under 10 points a night, but has been over the 20-point mark in the last 4 years too. The difference is that Siakam averaged on the lower end of the 20s each year, while Tatum is consistently pushing 30. At the time of this video, so far into the 2022 campaign, Tatum is averaging over 30 a night. As for his shooting, Tatum is hitting 45.8% of his shots from the field, 38.3% from behind the arc, and 84.6% from the free throw line. So to wrap this category up, I'd have to say that Tatum is probably the better scorer between these two guys. Alright, next we're going to talk about rebounding. It might not be the most important thing for forwards to do, but you can't ignore its impact. Siakam currently hauls in 6.4 rebounds per game over his career. 5 of them have been from the defensive end, while 1.4 of them come on the offensive end. His best rebounding season is this current season, as he's racking up 9.3 boards a game. If we're talking about his best full season, though, when it comes to cleaning the glass, that came in 2021 when he brought in 8.5 a night. Now, as for Tatum, he averages 6.7 rebounds a game over his career, with 5.8 of those defensive and 0.9 being offensive. So overall, Tatum is the better rebounder, but Siakam attacks the offensive glass a bit more. Tatum also just came off his best rebounding season in 2021 when he averaged 8 boards a night. So this one's an incredibly close category to call, but Siakam has the better rebounding potential, with those offensive boards being incredibly useful too. You don't often see that many forwards dive and attack the glass for missed shots from their teammates. It's a great skill to have on your team. Just look at what Steven Adams does for whatever team he's on. We also got to cover the concept of defense. This includes both steals and blocks. Siakam averages 0.9 steals and 0.7 blocks per game throughout his career. He's only averaged over a steal per game just 3 seasons throughout his time in the league, but he has yet to average over a block per year. He got close in 2019 though, when he averaged 0.9, but wasn't quite able to break that barrier. Tatum averages 1.1 steals and 0.7 blocks per game over his career. He's averaged over 1 steal a night in every single season except for one, that being this current campaign in 2022, which of course is not over yet. And for blocks, he currently averages more than a block per game in 2022, but besides that, he's peaked at 0.9, just like Siakam. So it looks pretty clear to me that Tatum is the better defender here, both on the perimeter and even inside the paint when it comes to rim protection. Now, next up, we're going to talk about their head-to-head matchups. These two guys have played in a total of 21 games against each other in their careers, with 7 of them coming in the postseason, and the rest were regular season games. Now, during those regular season games, Tatum and his Celtics have beaten Siakam and the Raptors 10 out of those 14 games. In the playoffs, Tatum and Boston struck once again by winning the playoff series against the Raptors in 7 games. So that brings the total to 14 wins for Tatum compared to just 7 for Siakam. On top of that, you can't even make the argument that Siakam has outperformed Tatum in these head-to-head games. Siakam averages a stat line of 13.8 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. Meanwhile, Tatum averages 19.7 points, 8 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. So simply put, Tatum has been on the dominant side when it comes to going up against Siakam. And in all honesty, this category was a little more surprising than I was thinking. Tatum hasn't just been slightly better, he's been nearly twice as productive as Siakam in these games. Alright, before we move on to the rest of the video, let's take a quick break to show you guys some highlights from both of these guys.
Smart fakes. inside. Tatum spins and he puts it in. Celtics go up by 1.
2 seconds to the rim with the left hand at the buzzer. Spicy P comes through.
Top 6 player or so. Again! Siakam!
Lakers just defensively.
Okay, so far Siakam is struggling a little bit in this debate, but he does have something in the accolades debate that Tatum doesn't, and that's an NBA championship. Siakam has that championship and 5 playoff appearances in 7 seasons played in the league. He's only been selected to a single All-Star game in his tenure, and he's been named onto 2 All-NBA teams, though neither of them was the first-team selection. Unfortunately, that championship is about the only thing that he has above Tatum. Tatum has made the playoffs 5 times in his 6 seasons, and he appeared in the NBA Finals once. Of course, he didn't win that series against the Warriors, but he was the best player, and he pushed them to 6 games. Tatum also has been named to 3 All-Star games and 2 All-NBA teams, and the difference here is that one of those All-NBA selections was a first team. So this category is pretty much based off your own opinion, whether or not you value a championship more or individual accolades and importance to the team during playoff runs. Now, speaking of importance to the team, we gotta factor in that here as well. The last few years, Siakam has been undoubtedly one of their best players and leaders. However, it hasn't really resulted in consistent regular season or playoff success. It's clear that Siakam is a great player, but he's not able to completely carry a team on his back consistently throughout the course of a season. And compare that to Tatum, who's flat out the best player on his team, and not only that, he's consistently helped them make deep runs in the postseason behind his stellar play, and he keeps them towards the top of the Eastern Conference rankings pretty much every year. During their recent NBA Finals run, Tatum was the most important factor. If you take him off that team, they might not even make the playoffs, and if they do, they probably get eliminated in an early round. As for Siakam during his championship run, he wasn't really the best player on that team. He was a secondary option for Toronto next to the superstar Kawhi Leonard in one of the best statistical seasons of Leonard's career. So while Siakam did win a championship, he wasn't considered the best player. Meanwhile, Tatum made the finals while definitely being the Celtics' best player. That doesn't take away from either player's leadership, though, as both have taken over the mantle of best player following departures from previous stars. For the Raptors, it was when Kawhi Leonard left to go to the Los Angeles Clippers, and for the Celtics, it was when Kyrie Irving repeatedly got hurt and then left to go to the Brooklyn Nets, forcing Tatum to become the face of their franchise. So at the end of the day, though, we've put all this stuff together, and it's pretty safe to say that we think Jason Tatum is the better player over Pascal Siakam.
Wins.
It's still a pretty close call, but these categories clearly show that Tatum is the better scorer, defender, and has more impact to his team's success. So let us know down below in the comments if you think that Siakam deserves a little more credit for what he's been able to do, or is Tatum rightfully considered the better player?